You're riding your motorcycle in Maryland, you get hit, and you weren't wearing a helmet. Now you're worried, is that going to lower injury settlement? It's a fair question. A lot of riders assume no helmet means no payout. The truth is, Maryland law can factor helmet use into your case, but only under specific conditions. Hi, I'm Bobby Zirkin, a personal injury attorney here in Maryland, and we've handled cases just like this. This video walks you through exactly when that might matter, how insurance companies will try to use it against you, and what to do if and when they try. So if you're concerned about losing any part of your settlement or being blamed for injuries that weren't your fault, this video will at least start to show you how to protect your claim and push back with confidence. How Maryland looks at helmet laws. Let's get right to the heart of it. If you're in Maryland and you're hurt in a motorcycle accident, but you weren't wearing a helmet, you're probably wondering, is my settlement going to be less just because of that? The answer isn't just a simple yes or no. Maryland's a state with very specific laws when it comes to helmets and how not wearing one can affect your claim. Here's what you need to know. First, Maryland law requires all motorcycle riders and passengers to wear a DOT or Department of Transportation approved helmet. That's not just a suggestion, it's the law. Maryland has had this rule for years because helmets reduce the risk of serious head injuries. If you're pulled over without one, you can get a ticket. But the real question is, if you get hurt, does not having that helmet lessen your chance to get fair compensation? Can insurance companies use my no helmet choice against me? Here's where things get a little interesting and tricky. Let's say you were hit by a distracted driver while riding your motorcycle. You weren't wearing a helmet, maybe because you were going a short distance or you just forgot. Now you're dealing with a concussion or worse, a traumatic brain injury, and the medical bills are piling up. In this situation, the other driver's insurance company is going to look for any way to pay you less. That's just how insurance works. And not wearing a helmet gives them something to work with. They might argue that some of your injuries, especially anything to do with your head, wouldn't have happened or wouldn't have been as severe if you had just worn a helmet. They'll claim that you're at least partly to blame for your own injuries, at least those injuries. But, and this is a big but, Maryland law is actually pretty clear about this. Maryland courts have made it clear in several cases that just because you weren't wearing a helmet does not automatically mean your settlement gets lowered. In fact, the law says that not wearing a helmet cannot be used as evidence of contributory negligence. That's legal speak for it doesn't count against you when deciding who is at fault for the crash. The exception, what about your head injuries? Now, I want to be totally upfront. Even though Maryland law says your no helmet choice can't be used against you to blame you for the accident itself, there is a wrinkle. Insurance companies may still argue that your head injuries, not your broken leg or your road rash, but really specifically your head injuries are worse because you weren't wearing a helmet. That's going to be a dispute. Let's put this into a real world example. Suppose you're riding through Baltimore, following all the rules, but no helmet. A car turns left in front of you and you get thrown off your bike, break your arm, and also suffer a concussion. The driver was clearly at fault for the crash. The police report says so. It's obvious. Your broken arm, the insurance company can't say a helmet would have helped you with that. So they can't use your lack of a helmet against you for the arm injury. But the concussion, that's where they are going to push back. They will bring in doctors or experts to say that if you'd just been wearing a helmet, this head injury wouldn't be as bad or might not have happened at all. That's called an argument on damages, meaning they'll try to lower the amount or convince the jury to lower the amount they have to pay for your head injuries. Maryland's contributory negligence rule, what this means in a case like this. Here's another twist. Maryland is one of the strictest states in the country when it comes to what's called contributory negligence. This means that if you are even a little bit at fault for your injuries, you can lose your entire right to collect money. It is a harsh rule and it catches a lot of people off guard. We're only one of 2 or 3 states that have it in the entire country. So does not wearing a helmet count as being a little bit at fault? The answer is not for the accident. The courts have said over and over that the choice that you made, an illegal one, but a choice to not wear a helmet, does not count as negligence in causing the crash. The other driver still has to prove that they weren't at fault. But when it comes to how bad your head injuries are, some insurance companies may still try to argue that you're partly to blame for that head injury, even if the law says otherwise. That's why having a lawyer who understands these laws and the cases inside and out is critical to this type of a case. How settlements actually get decided. Let's talk about real numbers and how settlements usually work here in Maryland. This is all pre-trial. After a motorcycle crash, your settlement is supposed to cover all of your losses: medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, future medical bills. Here's where things get practical. If your injuries are from the neck down, like a broken collarbone, a shattered leg, the fact that you weren't wearing a helmet almost never comes up. Your lawyer will argue, and usually successfully, that a helmet would not have changed anything. If you have a head injury, the other side will probably try to say that your medical bills or even your pain and suffering should be less because you chose not to protect yourself. They might even refuse to offer a fair settlement and make you take the case to court. Judges and juries in Maryland are supposed to ignore the helmet issue, but in reality, it can sometimes influence them, even unconsciously. That's why your lawyer needs to be on top of this from day one, filing motions to keep helmet evidence, lining up doctors and experts who can explain your injuries, and pushing back every time the insurance company tries to make your helmet choice into a big deal. What if you're a passenger or an out-of-state rider? Maybe you weren't the one driving. Maybe you were a passenger, you didn't have a helmet on. Maybe you're from Pennsylvania or Virginia, where helmet laws are different, and you get hurt while riding through Maryland. Maryland law says that everyone on a motorcycle must wear a helmet, even passengers, even out-of-state visitors. If you get hurt here, Maryland's rules apply, not your home state's. But again, your failure to wear a helmet can't be used against you for the cause of the accident. It's only about your potential head injuries that might be affected during settlement discussions or in court. If you're a parent and your teenager was the passenger or even the rider, the same rules apply. The law doesn't care who bought the helmet or whose bike it was. What matters is that under Maryland's rules, the helmet is required. How I advise my clients every day. I've seen this play out in my practice more times than I can count. Here's a quick story that might sound a lot like your situation. A few years ago, I represented a mechanic from Annapolis. He was leaving work late at night, wanted to get home fast, and left his helmet in his locker. A driver ran a red light and hit him. He broke his wrist, had a mild traumatic brain injury, and some other injuries. The insurance company immediately tried to argue that the settlement should be reduced because of the helmet. We went head to head. We got his doctors to explain that even with a helmet, the crash likely would have caused a head injury because of the angle and speed, and that the broken wrist obviously had nothing to do with a helmet. In the end, we settled for the full value of his claim. We were prepared to go to court if necessary, and our experts really made the difference. But I won't sugarcoat it. Every case is unique. If your head injuries are severe and the evidence suggests that a helmet would have made a difference, it can make settlement talks much more difficult. That's why you need someone fighting for you who knows how Maryland courts handle these cases. So what you should do after a no helmet motorcycle crash. Here's what you need to remember. Get medical care right away. Don't refuse treatment, even if it's just a headache. That medical record is key. Don't admit fault, obviously, or talk about your helmet choice to anyone but your lawyer. Save all your gear, photos, and any other evidence that comes from the scene, and immediately call a lawyer who understands Maryland motorcycle laws before you talk to the insurance company. Remember, the insurance company is not on your side. Their main goal is to pay you as little as possible. So let's wrap it up. What you need to know. To sum all of this, if you weren't wearing a helmet in Maryland in a motorcycle crash, the law is mostly on your side. Not wearing a helmet can't be used to prove the crash was your fault or to lower your settlement for most of the injuries. The only area where it might come into play is for head injuries, and even then, a good lawyer can often counter the insurance company's arguments. The bottom line is, not wearing a helmet should not destroy your claim in Maryland, but it does make things a little bit more complicated, especially for the head injuries. The best thing you can do is to get solid legal help early and don't try to handle these cases by yourself. So what's next? Protect yourself after any accident. If you found this helpful, don't stop here. Your next step is to watch my next video, what to do after a car accident when there was no police report. Missing that video could cost you your case if you're not careful. if the insurance company tries to twist the facts. Click over now to make sure that you know exactly how to protect your rights after any kind of accident. See you right there.